Oi oi my drillers, it's your geezer, Big Donny Cal, and today I'm going to teach you about Demonology Warlock. But, oh wait, would you look at this? Over 80% of you guys are not subscribed. So, if you want to randomly proc Prince Malchezaar this month from your Inner Demons talent, then I suggest you go and hit that subscribe button. And it's free, just do it. So to start off this video, the first thing I'm going to talk to you guys about are talents. So this build you see right here is the standard talent build. I'm going to talk you through it quickly. First, we want to be taking Demonic Strength, as this is just the most potent of the first three talents, with the standard Demonology Warlock build using the Wilfred Sigil of Superior Summoning Legendary. Then you want to take Demonic Calling, as you can proc instant Dreadstalkers that cost nothing. Then you want to take Burning Rush for mobility. You can take Demon Skin or Dark Pact. This row is kind of player preference, but I personally advise Burning Rush, as it's very helpful for many mechanics and many different bosses. Then you want to take Summon Vilefiend, as it's another pet with a large amount of health, which is really going to help with demonic consumption, which I'll talk about more in a bit. Then this is another player preference row. However, I'd suggest taking Mortal Coil, as say in a raid scenario, this is the only talent that is going to be effective, say if you're just fighting a standalone boss like the Tyrant, as it can act as a 20% heal, which can be crucial for keeping you alive, and it might even save you from having to use your health stone at a point where you really wouldn't want to. Next talent I'm going to say you go for is Grimoire Felguard, as it's another demon with very high health, and also in say a Mythic Plus scenario, you could send this guy out for massive AoE damage, as it does do a massive Fellstorm. That combined with Demonic Strength is going to be insanely huge damage. The last talent you're going to pick is Demonic Consumption, as this means your Demonic Tyrant will take 15% of the life of all your demons, taking its power and becoming far stronger, dealing way more damage. This is why we take Vilefiend and Grimoire Felguard, as they are two very, very strong high health pets that will allow our Tyrant to get stronger, basically. Now, there's a couple variations you can do for Demonology builds. If you are Necrolord, you can play with Power Siphon if you're playing with the legendary Bale Spider's Burning Core, which I'll talk about a bit more. But basically, it's going to mean you're going to get more Demon Bolt at damage out in a fight. However, as a Necrolord myself, I personally prefer playing the standard build. This is the build that everyone can play. If you play with the Grim Inquisitor's Legendary, you can play with Dreadlash instead, as that means you're going to be getting the most amount of value from your Dreadstalkers. And you could play with From the Shadows, however you do lose the Vilefiend for your demonic consumption. So yeah, that's kind of up to you if you want the big Tyrant or you want far more of a focused burst with your little Dreadstalkers. But yeah, that's it for talents really. You don't really play any of the other talents unless in PvP, which I'll get into on another guide. The next part of this video I'm going to talk about are Legendaries. So your common go-to Legendaries in Demonology Warlock will be Wilfred Sigil of Superior Summoning. Every soul shard you spend reduces the cooldown of Summon Demonic Tyrant by 0.6 seconds, which means if you're playing right, you can get the cooldown down to about 1 minute, which is huge and the most value that you'll be able to get from any legendary. So I'd strongly advise just crafting this and only playing with this, as this is genuinely the best for both raiding and Mythic Plus. However, if you're not too keen on the playstyle of it, for Mythic Plus, you can play Grim Inquisitor's Dread Calling. Every soul shard spent on the Hand of Gul'Dan increases the damage of your next call Dreadstalkers by 4%. If you play with the talent variations I talked about earlier, this can deal very nice AoE damage, especially with that Dreadlash talent. and it can be competitive against Wilfred's. However, it's not the best, but you can definitely get your KSM with it, with this is the build you prefer to play with. Then also for Mythic Plus, you can play with Implosive Potential, which is where Implosion will grant 1% haste for 12 seconds for each imp exploded, when this damages at least 3 target. Instead, gain 5% haste per imp. So yeah, you do get a lot of haste. The only thing is, you might not have the big cooldown burst you necessarily want the haste for as frequently, which is why this kind of falls off in comparison to Wilfred's. However, it is still a viable option for Mythic Plus. Now for raiding, you can consider Bell Spider's Burning Core, as every time you use Shadow Bolt, increases the damage of your Demon Bolt by 15%, stacking up to 4 times, so you can get a 60% Demon Bolt empowerment. And this should be very easy for you to keep up with, and yeah, if you're a Necrolord, you can run this in raid, since you have Decimating Bolt to buff your Demon Bolts even further. Then if you take Power Siphon, that's going to be huge damage. I wouldn't recommend using this legendary for any other Covenant though. And yeah, that's about it. You wouldn't really consider any of these other legendaries, as they really just fall off in comparison to these main 4. So yeah, quick summary: Wilfred's is best. These 3 you can play if you want to, but this one Necrolord only. The next part I'm going to get into is gear. So what stats are you chasing? As a Demonology Warlock, your most important stat is Intellect, your primary stat. Then for secondary stats, you want Haste, then Mastery or Critical Strike, as they are equal, and then finally Versatility. Haste is by far your best stat, as it increases your attack speed, which allows you to not only get more demons to put into your Demonic Tyrant, but it also means your Demonic Tyrant will attack just that little bit quicker. Because do bear in mind that all your stats will affect your demons as well. Now, onto the enchants that you'll be needing, and also the regular gems. For rings, you'll want haste enchants, and all your gems you'll want haste enchants. Haste gems. For your weapon, you want Celestial Guidance, as this gives you more primary stat. You want plus 15 intellect on your braces, because primary stat is Bis. Plus 30 primary stat, which means more intellect on your chest, and plus 30 stamina on your cloak. Now, in regards to your domination set bonus, you want to be running the Chaos Bane, which is the Unholy set bonus, by using the Shard of Z, Off, and D's. Then for your other 2 sockets, you want the Shard of Core, and you want the Shard of Beck. Shard of Core being Frost, Shard of Beck being Blood. Now, the ideal upgrade order would be you'd upgrade your Unholy Shards first. I'd recommend starting with your Shard of D's, then your Shard of Z, then your Shard of Off. But ideally, to get the biggest Chaos Bane bonus possible, you want to be upgrading these equally onto the same tier. So get these all onto tier 2, then all 3 onto tier 3, etc. Then you want to be upgrading your Shard of Core, then your Shard of Beck. Although, do bear in mind that if you are more focused on raiding, you want to upgrade your Shard of Beck before your Shard of Core. And for Mythic Plus, you can drop your your Shard of Off, as it doesn't really give a damage bonus. You're only really going to benefit from the other 4 shards in your build, and that's it really. Also, in the ways of trinkets, your best in slot trinkets are the Soul-letting Ruby, as you can gain up to 1152 critical strike depending on the health of the target, so make sure to try and use this trinket on lower health targets.
And you also want to be running the infinitely divisible oozling, as that gives the most damage output. But if you can't get your hands on infinitely divisible oozling, then just use your best unequip trinket. So I'm using the Titanic Ocular Gland as a placeholder while I wait for the ooze to drop. Next part I want to cover is Conduits and soulbinds. I'm going to show you the Necrolord soulbinds, but just so you guys know, your best in stock soulbinds for each covenant are as follows. For Night Fae, you want Naya. For venthyr, you want Nagia. For Necrolord, you want Hymir. And for Kyrian, you want Pelagos. Now, in the ways of conduits, your best potency conduit is going to be Born of Blood, as it gives you a high chance to get a free instant cast Demon Bolt. That's what Demonic Core is. Then you want Carnivorous Stalkers, as your Dreadstalkers have a chance, their attacks, any of their attacks, have a chance to trigger an additional Dreadbite, which is just more damage in general. And Tyrant Soul, as when your Tyrant expires, you get another stack of Demonic Core, which means 3 instant cast Demon Bolt, 2 Soul Shards, and Big Donny. And on top of that, your demons will deal 16% increased damage for 15 seconds after your Tyrant, which gives you an elongated burst window, which is very powerful. You don't really want to be taking Fel Commando, as it doesn't put out the same damage output which the other conduits can put out. I know for Necrolord you do not take Fatal Decimation. I'm not 100% sure on the other covenants. Maybe Night Fae might use theirs, but as far as I'm aware, you ignore covenant conduits. Now, your best finesse conduit is going to be Demonic Momentum, as it gives you a movement speed increase for quite a high amount for 5 seconds. So, you know, this really helps with a Warlock's slow mobility, and you can dodge mechanics far easier. The other finesse conduits I wouldn't really recommend. You can take Fel Celerity, as it means if you get into a tricky spot and you need to resummon your demon very quickly, then, you know, all you have to do is press Felguard, low cooldown, quick summon. Very nice. Though it is not as good as Demonic Momentum. As for endurance conduits, I strongly recommend taking Diabolic Bloodstone, as you get Leech for 6 seconds after anyone consumes your health stone. Then the Condensed Animosphere, as when you take any damage, you heal for 4% of your maximum health, but it only happens every 10 seconds. You could also take Accrued Vitality on certain fights. I feel like this would be quite strong on, say, the Sylvanas fight, where you get a Heal Absorb Shield on you, as Drain Life will heal for 68%, or that number can change, of the amount drained over 8.5 seconds, which is just more healing and very easy to break those Heal Absorb Shields. Yeah, that's it in the way of conduits and soulbinds. Alright, the final thing I'm going to show you is your rotation as a Demonology Warlock. So, one thing to note, just a disclaimer, of course, not every covenant is going to be using Fleshcraft, and your best in stock covenant is technically Night Fae, not Necrolord, but Necrolord is a good second choice, to be fair. And replace Decimating Bolt with your covenant ability. I know there is one exception with Night Fae where they might use it a little bit later on, but I don't think that's with Naya Soulbinds, it's with a different Soulbind. But here's going to be your rotation as Demonology Warlock. When the pull timer hits 4, you're going to want to hardcast a Demon Bolt. Then you're going to use your Covenant ability into an instant Felguard, into a Vilefiend, use your Soul-Letting Ruby, do 2 Shadow Bolts here. If you have a proc of Dreadstalkers, use it now. Then Hand of Gul'Dan, then another Shadow Bolt, then a Hand of Gul'Dan. Use your Racial if it gives a damage amp. Use Demonic Tyrant, then Demonic Strength, and just spend shards in Hand of Gul'Dan, generate more shards, and rinse and repeat while your Tyrant still lasts. Make sure you can always resummon a cool Dreadstalker, and then at the end of your Demonic Tyrant, you want to use Implosion. Now, do bear in mind that you are going to want to use stuff like Implosion or your Demonic Core stacks when you have to move around, say in fights like Painsmith, where you have to weave in between the spikes, or Fate Scribe, where you have to dodge the beams, or the Eye, where you have to dodge the big beam. You are going to want to be able to have some instant cast abilities so you can just pump out a little bit of extra damage. And yeah, aside from that, the only difference is if you don't, say you get into a situation where you don't get a proc on your cool Dreadstalkers. Hopefully I get that now. Oh no. But let's imagine I didn't have a proc on my cool Dreadstalkers. What you'd want to be doing is you'll just generate to full soul shards, then you'll use your Hand of Gul'Dan. I personally like to generate to a third soul shard, and then I will use my Dreadstalkers no matter what. Then I'll Hand of Gul'Dan, then I'll summon my Tyrant. So that can leave you with 4 imps instead of 6, but it is better than nothing. Also make sure to save your Felguard and Vilefiend for, of course, when you are using your Tyrant. And don't be like me and put your pets on assist, not on passive. But yeah, that is it for Demonology Warlock. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you learned anything here, please leave a like, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment with any criticisms, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.